A very warm welcome on quite a nice, chilly day to this, of course, first of all, to this future-driven experience exhibit and event pop-up. It's organised and hosted by ASEA, so you probably all know that this has been going on since the 5th of November, all sorts of interesting discussions, and it is set to continue until the 12th of December, but more on that at the end. Now, today we've got this expert session. It's organised by the Renault Group, and it's on the AI highway of innovation. And this perfect speaker, who I'll introduce in a moment, is brilliant. Okay, I sort of read his bio and thought, geez, I am a couch potato. His name is Rodolphe Géline. He is the Renault Group AI expert leader. Okay, so just for you to know, in case you didn't read on the website, this group is one of the first companies, the first car companies to use AI really with what they call, you'll talk about this, a 360-degree approach. So the ambition of the group is really to be the first artificial intelligence-powered automobile manufacturer. So very complex environment, a lot going on, but the benefits in terms of speed and safety and efficiency and I guess how it all sits within the green transition, that's absolutely critical, is something that you're going to talk about. So hopefully you will go away with a lot more knowledge. Who feels quite like, I'm quite good on AI? Raise your hand. Okay, 2 people in the room. There we go. The one thing I want to remind you is apart from sort of the top down, which Rodolphe will talk about in the beginning, he will also give use cases. I'm sure you are also all here for those use cases. Okay, so can I say a few words about you? You've got to do that really awkward smiling. Okay, don't listen then. Well, I'm really impressed, okay? But it's far outside, obviously, the domain of my sort of background, but he has a master's in artificial intelligence. Yay, already good, because he's going to be speaking to you about this. But he began his career at the French Atomic Energy Commission. So he was there working on robot control for the nuclear industry, but also working on projects which assisted people with disabilities. So he was leading different teams in robotics and virtual reality and AI. And then he joined in 2009 a company called Aldebaran and was leading a Romeo project. So that was a humanoid robot designed to assist the elderly. And then he moved to Renault around 2019. So now, since 2022, he's been leading this AI expert group. What's important to understand is that it's not just about what's happening internally. He also shares that outside, which I find very interesting, in schools, in universities. He's done a lot of media. And of course, he's written books. I mean, that would be obvious, right? So I feel after all of that, anything I missed? Come to the stage. Warm applause for Rodolphe Géline. Did I say anything? Did I miss anything that might be useful for these good people to know about you this morning?
No, it's already too much.
Can I just do a read of the room for you? I just asked people, so AI, how do you feel? This is such a simplistic question, I know. Overall, how do you feel about AI? Raise your hand if you feel positive. Yeah, there are some things, but...
Nice. So...
Okay, this man, I love it. Every question is that. I love it. Who feels like, who's wary? Who's nobody. Anyone who's negative about it? Thanks, I can do without it.
It's too bad.
Okay, one more question. Is AI used strategically in the organisation you're coming from? Where is it used in your organisation at the moment? Raise your hands if there's some kind of strategy or strategic deployment. That is a definite yes, sir. At last. Okay. And for whom no, it's not yet deployed? Not yet. Okay, there we go. So I give you about 30 minutes.
Yes.
And then we're going to do a nice, cosy chat. I've got some questions, but very important, you have questions, and we'll take them afterwards. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you. So thank you very much for being here. So I will give you some information about what I think about AI and the way we, as Kat said, the way we use it at Renault. So some reminders. We have 2 specialists of AI, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. That the way I like to present AI, it's only computing stuff. It's a new way to use computers. It's not something else than program 0 and 1 and so on. So, but what I like to say, it's a new way to use computers to solve new problems. For a long time, we have been using the computers to compute, to make computation, like in the Excel files. But every problem we are not based on computation. And sometimes we have other kind of problem you want to solve. And I like to make the difference between, for instance, when you cook, when you're kitchen. So when you apply a recipe, you follow a list of instructions. And that's what computing did before AI. And I like to say that the question that AI helps to solve is, wow, what could I cook for tonight? And as you can see, you cannot answer this question with a list of a series of instructions to follow. You have to think about it. You have to understand what is in your fridge, in your drawers, and then recognize what it is, and then know a lot of recipes and mix, can do this and that, but this part is missing, and so on. So you have to understand, and you have to take decisions. So that is the kind of problem that AI is able to solve. And it's not, as you can see, following a list of instructions that can help you to do that. AI that we talk about, we think, 2 days ago I met a journalist and he told me, yes, since AI exists for 2 years, I said, no, AI doesn't exist since 2 years. AI exists since almost 70 years. And AI is as old, the techniques we use in AI today are as old as computers themselves. But of course, we were missing of computing power, we were missing of data, and that makes that all the neural network stuff that you probably heard of, it was not applicable, it was not realistic to use. But since the 90s, since internet, since the computing power coming in the chips, now we can deploy the AI. So, and there are two main categories of AI. Most of you probably have heard of neural network stuff, ChatGPT. That's what we call data-based AI. But there is also an older AI called the symbolic AI, and I will introduce them rapidly. So this symbolic AI was very famous in the 80s. It was thanks to the expert system. The idea is I will model the knowledge of an expert, and then I will apply the knowledge even when the expert is not here. The computer will look in the rules that the expert is able to give. So, for instance, in an autonomous car, you have this kind of AI, symbolic AI, because of course, if your car is on the road, he has to apply the regulation, so there are rules. If the speed limitation is so, you have to drive slowly than that, and so on. So there are plenty of rules, and these rules are implemented in the car, and the car will follow these rules. This is AI. This is what we call symbolic AI, but it does exist, and it's still very, very useful. But of course, it's oldies, but goldies. And now probably heard of, and we like to say that this AI is what we call knowledge-based, because as you saw, I explained, we have the knowledge of an expert, and then we apply this knowledge. And now we are using connectionist AI that is more or less data-based, and that's why we often make the connection between data and AI. This AI really needs a lot of data. And here I give you an example of classical machine learning stuff. We will develop together a system to recognize if a car is a Renault or not a Renault. So the idea is not to give the rules about that. It's difficult to give a rule to recognize a Renault. So what we will do, we will give examples. Here are all the Renault you can meet, most of the Renault you can meet in the road. So I give all this information to the system during what we call the training phase. So we show plenty of pictures of different Renault, and we say this is Renault. We call it supervised learning, because we explain this is a solution you should find. It's a Renault. With a Renault logo. And then you present to the system during the training phase plenty of pictures of photos of Renault, of vehicles that are not Renault. And then during this training phase, you say, this is not a Renault. We supervise the learning. This is not a Renault. And after this learning phase is very long. You need plenty of data. That's why we make the connection between data and AI. You need plenty of, I represented a lot, but you need millions of them. And when this training phase is over, then you go to what we call the inference phase. So you can run your system. Unfortunately, my animation. Okay, you show this Ferrari, and the system is able to say it's not a Renault, or sorry. Afterwards, you show the R5, and the R5, the system say it's a Renault. And what is great, and the good surprise, if it works even if you never showed this picture before. It works even on cars that you didn't show during the training. That's what we call generalization. So it means I've showed plenty of Renault, but here is another Renault, but the system will recognize even if it never saw it before during the training. That's the good part. The limitation of it works if my car looks like the other Renault. If there is a brand new Renault that you've never existed before, for instance, when the Twizy, I don't know if you're familiar with the Twizy, it was a very little electric car, doesn't look like a car itself. Of course, the system, if it has never seen something like that, it will not be able to detect if it's a Renault or not. But the point is, it will not say, the system won't say, I don't know. It will say something, Renault or not Renault. It's random. So that's one of the problems of this kind of learning. When the system doesn't know, it doesn't say, I don't know. It said anything. So that's the risk of this system. You have to be sure that during the training phase, you have presented everything the system could meet afterwards. So here in the summary, I like to present this cartography of AI. You have these two big families, symbolic AI based on knowledge, and that's in a way a little bit easier to control, but a little bit with less possibilities. And then you have this big family of connectionist AI, in which you find the neural network stuff that you have heard of it, or the deep learning, or the large language model. Have you heard of large language model? Who? Yes, who never heard of large language model? Okay, great. ChatGPT stuff, that's kind of... So everything is based on what I presented before. You show plenty of examples, and then the system is able to take decision by itself without explaining why. So at Renault Group, the AI is almost everywhere. And here I have tried to describe the Renault Group. You have different families, you know, the Renault Group itself. Then we have Ampere, dedicated in electric vehicles. Alpine, you probably, I hope you have heard of Alpine. Mobilize, whoever has ever heard of Mobilize? Okay, Mobilize is our company that brings services around mobility, and Future is Neutral, and so on. So you have plenty of companies in the Renault Group. And in all these companies, you have different métiers, different kind of work. You have the people in engineering, manufacturing, sales and marketing. All these abilities are required to manufacture and to sell cars. And in all this horizontal domain, you have AI. So AI is everywhere in all this domain and all these companies. And that makes a community of people. And we're about 500 people working in AI, with AI every day, all around the group. And what Renault has tried to do is to say, okay, with this kind of work, we have this in each project, people are trying to bring AI to make the project faster, more efficient, and so on. And this is good to develop what we call POC, proof of concept. So every team develops its own POC, and that's nice, and it's fun, and the intern or the apprentice developed something. But our boss, Luca De Meo, said, that's nice, but I don't want POC. I want products. I want tools that are useful. And then he created this AI at scale initiative, in which we have selected the best project, the most fruitful and project, and then we invest people to make product based on the POC we have developed before. So we have this mechanism of, in the team we tried to develop something, and then we go to the more industrial level to have tools that we can use internally or in our product. Yes, I'll skip because I think the time is running. So that's the way Renault has organized its deployment, industrial deployment of AI everywhere. So, and at Renault Group, we and it's quite natural. We have defined two domains of application of AI. The first one is to improve the operational performance. When you are in the factory, when you are in the engineering and so on, so you can use AI to do your job faster, better, and so on. So, but everything that's good for us because the product are faster and cheaper to deploy, but for our customer, the final customer driving the car, he doesn't see. He see it indirectly because the car are cheaper, a little bit cheaper, and delivered a little bit faster, and so on. But it's quite indirect. So what we like to do, and like what Luca De Meo asked us, is now to bring this AI within the car and to make what we called the humanized car, to make the interaction with the car easier and more efficient with the use of AI. Downstairs, you can see the first avatar of this policy with the Renault or avatar with a new way to interact with the car. And we want to develop more and more this part of it to make, because it's for sure, we are probably at Renault Group one of the company where the AI is deployed in the more industrial way. When we compare to others, I think we can be proud of it. But within the car, we have a lot to improve to make the car even. And yes, something we probably could have discussed before afterwards. Often for people, when you think about AI and automotive industry, you think we're discussing with autonomous car. So of course, to develop autonomous car, you need AI. But what we want to show is that there are plenty of assistance you can bring with AI without going up to the autonomous car. That is another discussion we can have later on. So some applications, engineering. So engineering is all the process to design a new car. And for instance, what is very important for our industry is simulation. As you know, we use simulation to improve and to optimize the design of our car. For instance, for crash tests. Originally, we used to make physical crash tests, very impressive pictures, video that you've seen where a car is crashed against a concrete block. Of course, it's very expensive, it's very low, and it's very slow. So then we went to this physical, digital simulation. So digital simulation is very, very robust, very exact. So we can exactly plan, forecast what will happen on the real car only based on the 3D model. But these computations are pretty long, very, very long, very computing power expensive. So the idea is to ask the AI to make this computation faster and simpler. So once again, the idea is you show plenty of simulation to the AI. The AI will look at it. Sorry, I anthropomorphize a little bit the AI. I don't like to do that, but it's easier for me, especially in English, sorry. So, and then the AI will learn the way the car is crashing and then it's able to reproduce exactly the same results than the physical model does, but without knowing any equations about the physics and the way the parts are changing and crashing. And then we can make our simulation much faster than with a physical simulation and much cheaper than with a digital simulation and much cheaper than with physical real crash test. And we apply this on crash tests, but also on aerodynamics, and the results are pretty good. Manufacturing, it's not the first. When I arrived to Renault 5 years ago, it was maybe the last place where I expected to see AI in the factories. In factories, you mean, okay, you have the robots, but robots in industry are not so intelligent, are fast and powerful. But at Renault Group, the manufacturing is probably the most advanced part of Renault in AI, in the you collecting the data, cleaning the data, and using this data for AI application. It's mainly dedicated to visual inspection. Visual inspection, you know, in many parts of the factory, you have people just watching a part. Okay, it's okay, or it's not okay. And by chance or not, I don't know what to say. 99.9% of the time, the guy is only looking a good part. So he spends most of his time in looking good parts. So it means in doing something useless. So the idea is to use the AI to explaining to AI, oh, this is a good part, this is a bad part, and then the AI, after a while, is able to say, this is good, this is not good. And when it's not good, then he will call the guy and say, okay, I suspect this system is not good, and then the human being will check by itself. So we try to assist the worker for that with AI, and it's difficult, and it's not really what we want to do to replace it, because we need a human expert to finally declare the end. I can go, I can go deeper into details on this application, but okay, let me skip to the rest, and we'll discuss afterwards during the question phase. Of course, natural language processing. Natural language processing, it's okay. The old term of LLM. We used to do natural language processing before having the LLM, the transformers, and all the technology that appears in 2017, and then in 2 years ago with ChatGPT. But there are many ways. Again, by training to explaining this kind of so here, let me first mention the use case. The use case is, it happens sometimes, it's rare, but it happens that people complain about Renault vehicle sometimes. And reading this is long, and it could be, and to detect exactly what people are complaining about. So for that, we can use people, but we need a lot of people anyway. And sometimes we have only to take samples, and we cannot treat everything in a systematic way. With AI, we are able to treat all the reviews we have, all the feedback we have from our customers, and to have much more accurate answer to the feedback of our customers. And of course, now we have this LLM stuff that can bring another way to treat the natural language. For instance, in call centers, we can have chatbots based on LLM to answer the first level of question of our customers. So it's really, once again, but I don't have to convince you, this part of AI is the most visible and most known. Interaction, natural interaction based on text and speech is everywhere very useful in the company. And then the second part of it is to the AI in the car. And of course today, where is AI used? In all these driving assistance. I guess you know this topics. I don't have to explain you, but you know the function. But did you know that behind that there are AI, a lot of AI, and we have AI in the camera that is able to detect objects and people around the car, and to understand the scene, to reconstruct the scene, and to understand and what we're working on is to also anticipate the motion of the others, because it's having a picture of what's happening around the car. It's nice, but trying to forecast what will happen. Will this car cut my cut in or cut out? This is very important for the car to have an intelligent behavior considering the environment. And this is based on AI detecting, understanding the situation, and display it to the driver. I don't know if you've tried, but it's much more reassuring when the car displayed what it has understood around the car. Then if the car reacts, you don't know why, you don't know what it has detected, and the car is braking or is turning, and you don't know why. Sharing this model of the world on the display, it's very useful, and that's the first step of acceptability of all these driving assistance. And then you have the function, adaptive cruise control, lane following, emergency braking. And more, we want to use AI to bring a new way of coaching. You can coach people to use their hybrid car, or then, for instance, what we're working on is to when you plan your travel, you say, okay, I start from my house, and I go to my countryside, and then the system is able to know when it climbs up, when it goes down, when you will have traffic jam, and so on. And then the system is able to plan the better time to use electric power or thermic power in your hybrid car. So the system is able to optimize the balance between the two motorization, and then to improve your autonomy. Electric road planner, same, but just for electric car. So what is the best way to find the good charging station, and the cheapest, and with the less crowded? So everything can be taken into account by AI, and by this symbolic AI that I presented before. So that's why it's so important to really keep in mind that all the kind of AI could be used, and one of the secret of the success in AI is to know all the different tools and to adapt to take the best tool for the best usage. The safety coach, at the end of your travel, the system is able to say, okay, you were too close, you were too fast in this curve, and so on. That is to be moderated, because of course people don't like to be to receive listen from an object, from a car. So that is something we have to to balance, and every driver has to give, in a way, his feeling about receiving advices from an object, and car use optimization. So we have plenty to do in interpreting the data that are collected during the driving phase. And beyond this driving assistance, we think we can bring a better user experience, and to make the car a kind of companion of the driver. We can, thanks to AI, we can make hyper-personalized and contextualized content. For instance, when you go into your car in the morning, then the car will say, okay, today, don't forget it's the birthday of your mother. And sorry, yesterday PSG lost again, and I hope you're not. You contextualize and you personalize the welcoming seconds, and then you create this very special relationship with the car. And I don't know if you heard the last demonstration of speech interaction. That's thanks to LLM and these new techniques, we have really improved the quality of the speech to text and text to speech features. Today you can have a voice that is very expressive, very subtle, and then, for instance, the system can be, oh, sorry, PSG lost again yesterday, or hey, yes, yesterday Marseille lost again. The voice will change. I don't know if it doesn't mean anything for you, Marseille and PSG, but it's football and it's French championship. Sorry, but so you can adapt the tone of the voice. And of course, everything will be based on your preferences. And what the big question is, do I want to share my preferences with my car? Do I want that Renault knows that PSG is my favorite team or not? So of course, we have to let the control to the driver to what he's able to share, what he wants to share, and what he doesn't want to share. Maybe you prefer to have a completely impersonal car that only say, okay, today it's raining, or today it's sun shines. Today it's foggy because we're in Brussels, okay? And for other people, you prefer to share many things, and then you have much more rich context, a rich interaction with your car. So plenty of other application and of AI within Renault. The virtual sensor, to get rid of a physical sensor that costs money. You can, in a way, sometimes replace some physical sensor by virtual sensor, where the AI will compute by a sideway the same value as the sensor could compute. The road trip, the scoring. Yes, we have at Mobilize that I presented before. We have this. We offer credit solution for our customers, and then we have to evaluate if someone is we can give the credit or not, and then we do scoring on our customers, and AI is very useful for that. Okay, maybe I skip all the details. Where are we? Okay. So sales forecasting, you can imagine how useful it could be. And you can, of course, up to now, we did that with statistics. But with AI, you can take into account many parameters, the cost of the raw material, the war in Crimea, the war in Ukraine, sorry, or yeah, you can take many information from many different sources, textual, even video, and so on, and that could feed the prediction and make your prediction ever and ever more accurate. The smart grid. I'd like to, yes, yeah, the smart grid is the idea of, are you familiar with the smart grid? Who is not? Everybody is. Okay. Yeah. So I'm glad that So the smart grid is based on that we can on the R5 we have now. You can reuse electricity within the car for other applications than the car itself. And for that, of course, you need to know what will be the requirement from the network, what will be your next use of the car, when do you take your car, I want to empty your battery if tomorrow you have a long trip to do. So everything has to be taken into account, and AI is really necessary to do this kind of application. Performance prediction, it's a very, yesterday we had a interesting talk about the aerodynamics of the rim. You see what is rim? Yes, a kind of part of the wheel. And then what was difficult before is that to evaluate the aerodynamics of the wheel, it was difficult to do it by itself, and we had a kind of KPI. We evaluate the size of the holes and the sphericity of the rim and so on. So it was not so accurate. And to have an accurate measurement of the aerodynamics of the wheel, you have to finish your vehicle, put the wheel on the vehicle, and then measure. And so when you measure that, it's very much too late to change it. And with AI today, we are able to have an evaluation of learning of from the measurement we did before on more than 100 kind of rims and vehicle. We can learn and to anticipate the aerodynamics performance of a rim before we manufacture it. And that is, we have plenty of application of improving the performance, the evaluation, performance evaluation very early in the development phase. And it's a way to really improve the speed and the quality of what we produce. Okay. Yes, diversity management. I like that because it's about what we call diversity management is to manage the number of different cars we are able to manufacture. Do you have an idea of the number of cars that Renault Group is able to manufacture? Different models. It's 10 power 60. It's more than the molecule in the universe of, okay. So, but it's a lot. Of course, everything is not possible because you have constraints. It makes that if you took this option, you cannot take this one. For instance, if you take a very complex seat, because it's heavy, there are some options you cannot take because otherwise the car will be too heavy. So there are constraints between the options, and that makes the thing difficult. So it means that you have a system able to know everything is possible to do and what is not possible to do. So you have to manage all these constraints, and for that we have developed, since we have been developing for maybe 20 years, a very complex system able to manage all these constraints and to take into account the diversity of our cars. And we are publishing in a very good scientific paper because there are very few companies who has to deal with such a diversity. And so it's other example to give you all the different application you can have of AI, where all over the group. So I like to finish with this. With this slide, saying that yes, inside Renault we try to train our people. We want that everybody knows about AI. Whatever, if you use it or not, because you're a member of a tech company, you have to know you have to have a background on AI. So we have trained 50,000 people on. They have to. It was mandatory for all the let's say the blue collar of the white collar of the company to follow this e-learning. And then we have a master class of 2 hours and a half, and almost 10,000 people followed it. And we have also a way to people to adapt the Gen AI. And then we have training sessions, 2 hours training session. And we train people by ourselves internally to the group. It means that we have people of Renault training people of Renault. And then when we have trained someone that is good enough, then he can become a skipper by himself. It means train other people. And then it's kind of like a snowball. The more you train people, the more you can train people. And we have this mechanic of skipper, captain, and captain are able to train skippers to train themselves. And then internally, now we have 6,000 people trained to Gen AI. The idea of Gen AI is not only for their personal culture, but also to see how Gen AI can make their job easier, faster, and more efficient. And the last part of my slide on the right is okay, AI is great, but of course it's a tool. It's one more tool for the engineers, and for and as every tool, it can be misused, or it can be badly designed. So I give this example of the ladders that is not completely relevant. And and there is this example. If your system to recognize the traffic sign is not well designed, it can be not robust. And it's a famous example when you put some stickers on the stop sign, it can be understood by the AI by a speed limitation sign. The human being will never do that, but AI can be cheated that way. And of course, it can also you can also have misuse of AI, and that like the deep fake of the Pope. So it means that's okay. You have with this very powerful tool. First, you have to use it properly, and then you have some rules to follow, and that's why we're here in Brussels, because the AI Act that recently popped up is exactly pointing on this, to be sure that AI is correctly used and for a good purpose. Thank you very much. I think that's it for me. It's time for questions.
And to go and sit in the living room. I have a couple of questions, but I have a lot, and I don't want to ask them all because you're here to answer questions from these good people. So with your permission, I'll ask a couple. I'll save them to the end. Mine are probably less technical, so yours might be more technical than me. But a couple of things is just briefly to expand. You talked about autonomous cars right at the start when you were looking at symbolic AI. Then you made the comment, but there's so much more you can do. People tend to get stuck in that. I wondered whether you wanted to say something more, because you didn't mention it a lot.
No.
It isn't all about autonomous vehicles, but what was the point you maybe wanted to underline there?
Yeah, we were discussing that before. It's the autonomous car is okay for Renault. Autonomous car is not a priority for a personal vehicle. So and for many reasons. Technically, it's quite complicated. From a regulation point of view, it's quite complicated, and from a user point of view, we're not sure that it's something that people expect and that people are ready to pay, because an autonomous car will be much more expensive than a non-autonomous car. So based on all this, Renault Group is not particularly involved in autonomous car deployment, but we have contact, we have partnership to keep in mind and to keep an eye on what is going on, what is the status of the technology. Maybe the technology will progress so fast that will change our mind. Sure. That's why we keep an eye on it. We have partnership with WeRide in China, with Waymo. So we're still in contact, but we don't have any more team working specifically on it. And that's why I spend time on it. I think collaboration between car and driver is more interesting than autonomous car.
Okay. When
except for maybe specific application that we can discuss about.
when you were saying there about receiving advice, people might have to get used to receiving advice from an object. I was just thinking in my head, who would rather receive advice from an object than their partner? Well, I mean, there is always that, isn't there? Okay, the other question that I just thought about, because it was very impressive. You were looking at these POC to, moving up to industrial scale. You said there is a community of people. Right at the end, you said everyone. It's not just the C-suite. There is this ownership across the company, and it's impressive. You're training those who are training. What about the skills? You hear a lot in Europe, we know this, about a dearth of the right skills in the digital transformation. That's a particular part of the digital transformation. Do you struggle ever to get the right people? It didn't look like it from there, but what about attracting and maintaining those people?
Yeah, so it's true that maybe 20 years ago, people were fond of car industry. Yeah, plenty of engineers wanted to work in car because it was trendy, it was fun. Today, it's a little bit less maybe trendy. But what we want to show is, with this kind of a speech that I do in schools and universities, to explain that even if you don't like car, there are plenty of funny things to do with AI in the industry, and even to make car cheaper, more sustainable, and so it's okay. We have to, in a way, show differently the automotive industry, and every engineer today getting out of the school, university, knows about AI. So when he arrives in the company, he has skills, different level of skills. And he wants to try it. And he say, okay, I've discovered this neural network stuff, this LLM stuff, so I want to apply it. So we have really this energy from, even if they are not specialists of AI, it's a kind of tool they have.
Yeah.
Like in the past, they know how to use Excel, they know how to program in C, so that the basics.
I still don't know how to use Excel, I'm rubbish.
Yeah, you won't never work for Renault, because if you don't work with Excel, you cannot work at all.
Okay. So you bring them in, so they don't necessarily have to be up there.
No,
you are bringing them into this community,
so
and you are making them enthusiastic and giving them the tools.
You need different level of skills. So and of course we have PhD students, and they bring the high level of knowledge about that. And then we hired some good data scientists as well. So, and what we propose is for our data scientists to keep them on the state of the art by working with the labs. We have a chair with a Telecom Paritech to be sure that we are still at the best level of AI. We have collaborative project like European project to be sure we stay in contact with the best.
Yeah, with the right communities.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a permanent, and that's a way also to attract people. Say, you come here, you will apply what you know, but you will learn more and more within the group.
Okay.
But it's an issue we have to face, of course, because. Yeah. Google is paying much more than we do. So
that's what I hear. Absolutely, this is what I hear so often, and also what I hear when I do jobs for researchers, with researchers, and particularly when I did earlier this year on their careers. Lots of researchers say we move out of the academic environment and we move into a private sector, and then we don't recognize ourselves anymore. What's our identity? Somebody in the audience and quite a few people agreed. So you get a lot of researchers are very much nourished in the private sector, but they have to sort of look at who they are. And very often they identify with staying in the academic environment. So that's quite fascinating itself. I have so many questions. I've got to shut up now because I need to check in with our audience to see if you have either a question or a comment or anything that you might wish to share from your own perspective in your organization. I'm just giving you a chance so I don't don't hoover up all the oxygen in the room. And you? Yeah, you have a question. I thought you were saying, go ahead, hoover up the oxygen. Brilliant. Please. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Where are you from, so they know?
So I'm from the European Commission, from the AI office, but not from the part that's doing the regulatory text, more from the part that's looking at the engineering, manufacturing, and so on. And the question is related to manufacturing. So as any car manufacturer now, I mean, there is a lot of suffering. We see that all the time. Renault has taken an advance, but there is also a huge network of suppliers. And if you wanted now to reproduce this kind of progress in the supplier network, how would you start? What kind of how would you bring them up to scale? Is it more research, more money? Is it infrastructure to be able to train AI models?
So, okay. Are you asking about the value chain as a whole, or how you would sort of share this expertise? In what way would you do it?
In what way you would bring all the suppliers, be it Valeo, be it Michelin?
Okay, sorry, yeah.
I mean, even those down as the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 supplier, how would you bring them up to scale so that they could also be at that level of excellence?
So Valeo is very good in AI. So they had a very good lab in AI, so it's not the best. No, but anyway.
So the rubbish ones then, how would you bring them up to...
So the first step is for them to, we ask them to have data about what they're doing. So we need to have data and that we can extract and integrate in our own system and because the interaction starts from data at the very first level. So, and then afterwards, yes, yes, we will have, okay. Once again, it's about, for them, you mean to use AI? We can for them to use AI to have a better system. We can. So but we say, okay, this supplier from, somewhere else in Europe, than Europe, they provide faster, better, and cheaper. So maybe you should do something. So we don't have strong constraints on them to say, okay, you should use AI and so on. But okay, it's it's only the game of competition for us to say, okay, you have to find a way to. And as far as I know, we don't have this. Evangelization, would say that?
Yeah, proselytization. Yeah, absolutely. But you could be a model that others could say, wow, they're getting it right. But you're not necessarily proactive in proselytizing, but you could be a model. Does that answer, did he well understand what?
Yeah, but it's a good remark. I don't think we have this today, this proactive move.
Hang on, sorry, we'll give you the mic again. Sorry, hang on. We've got, and then there's a.
Sorry. No.
That poor man was there.
Indeed, and even if we pick on Bosch or Continental and so on, they are starting. But and I know it's a bit like a dog life when you are a supplier that you have to compete, even compete globally. But taking actually the supplier network with you was a bit also the background of my of my reflection.
So, and to complete what my first answer, we are member of SIA, Société des Ingénieurs de l'Automobile in France, and I'm a part of the community of experts in AI, and in this community we're discussing with people from Valeo, Faurecia, Stellantis about the AI in our company. So here, OEM and tier 1 and 2 are discussing together about the way. So in a way, that's through this channel that we can share our method and for you to know, with the SIA and other partners of the automotive domain, we have created a training session with Paris Dauphine and Les Mines de Paris to train project manager in AI. So it's 8 months training, and then altogether we send our teams to train the people to deal with AI projects. So but in a way, that's the kind of action we do to bring all together all the automotive ecosystem toward the application of AI.
Did you want to chip in, or were you helping with the mic? No, you want to chip in. Please say who you are. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark. I work at ASEA, the secretariat itself. I'm the IT director, so I AI has been also my domain already since a long time, just as a personal interest. One of the biggest challenges of AI still is when you use AI is the temperature between consistency and creativity, where you get the limit on hallucination. I think that in the automotive industry, let me
Yes, no, I need a triple espresso to understand that. Sorry, forgive me.
Let me simplify this. If you ask AI something,
yeah,
sometimes it doesn't give the right answer. It's hallucinating. And that depends on the level that you ask AI to be creative or not be creative. I assume as we have an exact industry, or the industry itself, where it's very important to work very precise, and things have to be very precise and in the right order.
So where is this margin for that? For not getting the right answer?
The danger that you have with AI is that it doesn't always follow the rules in the normal use of AI, the kind of office application. So I would like to know, how do you cope with this danger of hallucination? Because if AI comes then to the car, the intelligent within the car, and I think that's where we're going. I mean, you cannot centralize, you have to decentralize. The chips and the technology and so on need to be in the car if a car wants to function autonomously as much as possible than AI.
So how do you basically ensure that it's safe? There isn't a room for error. How does that come up in your?
How long will we have? So it's so first of all, what you mentioned about hallucination is concerns mainly the generative AI. So, and most of the application I presented, there is no generative AI. There is more conventional AI. So, but anyway, if we're not worried about hallucination in most of our applications, we are concerned by, as I said, this misfunctioning of AI, because it's based on training. If the training is not of good quality, then the output can be bad quality. And that the idea of what I presented with a sign, when the sign has been sticked, and then it's not. So that's more the kind of trouble we are facing in everyday life, and for when we need accurate answers, more than hallucinations. And for that, we have methodologies to be sure to try to ensure the good functioning of the AI. So it means, and that is described in the AI Act. Partly, so we have to improve the robustness, the transparency, and the accuracy of our system. And for that, research lab are working on tools to ensure the good quality of. And what is difficult is to make a measurement, an evaluation of how robust do you need your system to be, and what is the level of robustness. How do you measure robustness? So you have to agree on standards, but there will be standards saying, if you want to have a sign recognition, you have to be sure that you've tested plenty of perturbation, of noise that could happen. And if you did not that, your AI will not be certified to be used in the car. That kind of thing. And then based on generative AI, you mentioned the word. So if you can choose what you call the temperature between creativity and not, first you stick it to 0, creativity. And then you use technical stuff like RAG, it means that you will say, okay, generative AI, you will use this corpus of information. Don't look information about how to fix my Renault in the web in general, but look in the handbook of my car, and then find me the good information. That's where so
you're bringing down that
exactly, and that's the way to limit hallucinations.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's still a difficult topic. For instance, I will give you an example of hallucination, but it's not so. Yeah, it's an example, but it's not okay. It's not.
We rely on you for it being an example. I love that. You think, is it? Should I go on? I think he wants to.
The idea of we are using generative AI to create pictures. Okay, it was maybe one of my last applications to validate the driving assistance. For instance, we want to be sure that your your driving assistant works in a snowy environment. And during our training phase, we've never seen, this particular place of Brussels under snow. And we would like to be sure that our system will work anyway. So we asked generative AI to generate a picture of this very place with snow. And then it does, and then we try our system, okay, it works, or it doesn't work, and so on. So that's the way we use generative AI. And we had some surprises sometimes. For instance, one time we asked for to change a scene, a driving scene, from day to night. And then, okay, of course, it changed the color of the sky. And he had this light in the, so you have plenty of lights when you have night picture, you see the lights in the, on the border of the streets. And then it generated an hallucination with green lights, like the traffic lights, green, but in place of a lampadaire. What do you call that?
Lampadaire. The
street lamp.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have plenty of green street lights all around the road.
No one stops in the snow.
It was for us an incredible hallucination, and that's difficult for us to be sure that it won't happen.
And it also demonstrates the limits of humans thinking about what they need to be thinking about. Correct. Can I do we have 5 more minutes? I know, just to ask a couple of questions, and then, because I think they will elicit responses that might just complete other little bits of the whole narrative. One of the things, just laughing, I'm going to cut to the chase. The last question I asked ChatGPT before coming here today, after I'd done all my research, not through it, was, can we achieve the sustainable mobility transformation without AI? Can we achieve it? That was the question I asked ChatGPT, and it said, yes, we can.
Let me ask GPT.
We can. But AI enhances speed and effectiveness. Would you have answered? Was that the right answer from ChatGPT? You look horrified, by the way. But that's what the answer was. I mean, it was longer than that. I'm condensing the last sentence.
But yes, more or less, it's true that it's... I think for some problems, there are no problem that you can solve without AI. For instance, the smart grid stuff that I mentioned, wow, a human being will never able to do that. Or it will give you the good solution maybe 2 years after the day you need it. So in some cases, you cannot make without AI, or you don't do it. So you say, okay, tant pis pour le smart grid, so let's forget the smart grid.
I love that. Nobody put that out on the social media. Tant pis pour smart grid, said the guy from Renault who heads up AI. Okay.
So we have to, that's okay. And but the question we have at Renault Group is, but it is always relevant to use AI for everything.
Yes.
And today, for instance, we have access to ChatGPT, our own ChatGPT at Chat at Renault, to every people in the group. Okay, that's nice because we want people to know the way it works and how to use it and to think. But after a while, we think, everything, it represents a lot of energy, a lot of CO2 generated only because you have silly questions like yours. Or
thanks.
It was not the silliest question ever, but you can imagine when you have access to ChatGPT, the number of silly questions you ask, the number of silly pictures you ask to DALL-E and so on. But each time you make this silly question, CO2 explodes in the planet. Yeah. So someday we have to ask the question, people, and that's why we have to train people, for people to understand, okay, it's fun, have fun, understand, but also don't forget that it's not completely sustainable. So really be sure that you use it for a good purpose.
And just that leads me to the corollary, the question that I asked. So I did a job on Monday for the Federation of Belgian Enterprises. We did a panel on digitalization and AI, but particularly as levers of innovation, because Belgium is literally at the top of Europe in terms of R&D expenditure. And the guy who had a company that was helping other companies strategically deploy AI. I said exactly that. So the public is more and more conscious. It's not new, but they're more and more conscious of, the energy consumption. And what do you think? And his answer was, he said, well, I think we have to talk about the trade-offs. If, for example, he said AI is at the heart of finding a cure for cancer, say, what do we say? about how do we look at it. So I just wondered what your view, because you brought it up about the energy consumption, deploy AI, deploy it where it needs to be. Any other thoughts on that? Would you agree with what that chap
Yeah, I
said?
do agree. And for instance, it's today at Renault Group, we work on what we call decarbonization. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we develop electric cars and so on. But if it appears that to develop an electric car, we need to generate more CO2 to design it, then we spare with electric cars. So we have to do this balance, and we're working today. Google is a very important partner for us, and in the deployment of AI and data and AI. And they bring us these tools to evaluate for each computation, for each project, how much it represents in terms of CO2. It's new, it's difficult, but it's something we will take into account more and more. And to be able, we need to be informed to make this balance. You can, and then you have to have the order of magnitude of what you generate as CO2 for each work, for each project, and then take your decision afterwards.
Okay, a couple more, and then I will turn to the floor. And perhaps one that, if you noticed, if you were paying attention in the bio that I read out at the beginning, he has previous experience where he was working in robotics for people with disabilities, for, I love that we call them seniors. And I asked you, and I'm curious, as an interesting answer, I said, what from that experience did you bring forward into the automotive sector where you're a specialist and an expert in AI and deploying it? What did you take from that?
Yes,
what I
learned is you never listen enough to your final customers. Whatever you're always an engineer. You're always pushed by technology, by show off. So and at the end of the day, if you bring something in the car that you're very proud of, be sure that your customer is really expecting this and understand the way it works and what is it for, and that's and we have to be customer centric more and more. And it's true that for a long time we have been pushed by the passion of car, and our CEO is passionate by car, and they like to big car and so on. They say we tend to think, okay, if I like this, my customer will love it. But now you have to, passion for car is decreasing, so people will look for maybe something else in their relationship with their car. They are not allowed to drive very fast, so there are so many constraints. So you have to think out of the box.
Environment, plus their demands around environment. The car is one of the easiest to grasp in terms of where could I be making a difference in my footprint. So
and that's what we and what we when I was working for handicapped people, we developed an autonomous wheelchair. So and the guy tried it. It's nice, but when I recovered a little bit, my biggest pleasure was to drive by myself. And now with this autonomous wheelchair, you take me that my pleasure to be autonomous, but to choose by myself where I go and the way I go. And when you give me this autonomous wheelchair, thank you, but you take something out of me with this autonomy stuff. Wow.
And these are always these conversations. Do you bring people into the conversation at the right time? Do you get the right community around the table? You cannot please everybody. Some people don't like change. Some people it really doesn't fit, because it's a tricky one, isn't it? Particularly in this, I loved it. You called it the special relationship. It made me think about Obama when he said that about the US, the special relationship between people and their cars. But it's a tricky one everyone's different.
And we have to be sure we can adapt that. And what I would love is that for the AI to be able to detect when it proposes something, to detect by itself, did it like it or not?
Yeah.
And that's for me the ultimate goal of AI, to detect if the service it brings is appreciated or not.
Yeah. Any last questions from the floor? I'm conscious that you may have to get back to your day jobs. Any last one? The last one I wanted, and also go, you go, please. Yes. Where are you from?
I'm Joost from, I'm representing a mobility organization, Touring Club
Oh,
Belgium.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's about streamlining the manufacturing processes, development processes, etc. Is AI at Renault also used to develop new driver assistance systems or safety systems?
Yes, yeah, driver assistance, you mean within the car?
Yeah, within the car, because
yeah.
a lot of the systems we see, blind spot identification, pre-crash braking, etc. We've seen them since a long time now.
Okay.
I don't see very much happening at that level at the moment on an innovation side. I imagine AI could bring some new features that make cars safer. Do you use them at Renault, or is it more the Bosch and Valeo side?
No.
We
do work on this, and we work with our tier one. But what we focus on is to improve the efficiency and the acceptability of this driving assistance. Today, when you make a poll in a room like that, you say who knows the ADAS, the driving assistance. So people raise their hand, and who use it, and then you have maybe only 10% of people, because they don't like the way it behaves. They don't like the system doesn't drive the way they drive, and so they don't accept it. So I think we have a lot to understand why people don't like this driving assistant, why they don't use it more, because if they use more, the driving will be safer. So we have to find a way to be. Today, I would say, in a way, or driving assistance is a little bit too much robotics, too much simple. Okay, a car in front of me, I slow down, but we have to take into account the complexity of the situation that make the system able to behave the way the human behave, and for that, AI is more and more.
I welcome that reaction, because we represent the car, the vehicle user, and we encounter a lot of questions and problems that people mention about the state or the level of technology in the vehicles. I just recently bought a new car for my mom. She bought it, but I accompanied her. It was a Renault, by the way.
Great.
But it's she's 78. She's still very fit and all that you can want at that age. But the new car has become very difficult for her, because the car doesn't do what she wants. It wants to keep inside of the lane. It doesn't want to go outside of the lane. She's wondering, what is this system? How can I cope with it? I invite car manufacturers to develop different levels
for different kinds of driver.
For different kind of drivers.
Different age, different
we are driven.
needs.
We are an industry driven by engineers, all starting from the starting point. Everyone is at the same level of development, of implication, of interest in these systems, which is not the case.
Yeah.
Yes, no, but and that's why when I mention hyper-personalized vehicle for the interaction, it will be true for the driving assistant as well. That's not easy, because someday people say, okay, what I like is for the car to see the way I drive, and then for it to drive like me. Yeah, but if you drive like a crazy, I can't.
Yeah, you're going to kill
the car
people.
drive you like you. So that's the balance we have to find.
Yeah. Up to you. I mean, I should bring things to a close. Reading the energy in the room, is that good for you? Is there any burning question? I mean, you can contact this fine gentleman, obviously, separately. You're bringing an enormous question in right at the last minute.
No, very good.
Okay. Go on, please say who you are.
My name is Sid. I'm from Trade Association Digital Europe.
Yeah.
And I have one quick question, and then maybe if time allows, a less quick question. So
right at the end when you've... Oh, my goodness me. Okay, you're going to need to be concise in your answers.
Yes.
Be concise in the question.
Yeah, or make an executive decision to disregard the second one. First one is just for my general image. Kind of, how big is the part of Renault's research and development budget allocated to digital applications or AI in specific? And then also, you were talking about autonomous driving and how it's not fully autonomous driving is not very interesting to Renault. And then you did say that a couple of special applications were, and that we could talk about it later. Are there any special applications that you are working on when it comes to fully autonomous driving?
Oh, he didn't say he wasn't interested. He said they've realised,
it's
where it
No,
sits,
I
and they're keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I mentioned that we have special application in which I think autonomous car will be relevant. And for instance, we have a nice application in Spain. You know, in our factories, when you assemble the car, when the car get out of a factory, a driver comes into the car and then brings the car on the a huge parking, and then he has to come back to the factory. So either he walk or he has another guy following with another car and bring it back to the... And then for this, we've developed an autonomous car because the environment is quite simple, but the car goes where the guy goes with his own car, and then it jumps, follows it, and then it can jump in the car and come back. So this kind of application is implemented in your factory. So it's a very specific environment, so it makes things easier, but it's a way for us to keep the contact with autonomous car.
If there's another one, maybe you can share it off stage,
okay.
and maybe just because I sense I need to round off, if it's okay, but just in a sentence, what percentage goes on R&D? Investment as opposed to expenditure, I've been told, is a better way of putting it.
It's purely focusing on AI. It's difficult to say, really.
But did you mean R&D in general? Did you mean, or in general? What percentage?
Basically, just to get an idea how big digital as such or AI as such is in the R&D sphere within the Renault.
How much does the digital transformation as an enabler of, better, faster, more efficient vehicles, etc.?
I prefer not to say. I can.
Okay.
Give me your contact and I will give you the information because I don't have the figure in head and well.
Happily, thank you so much.
Thank you. Is that all right? Because I think you're not running away straight away, are you? You're going to have a little bit of cake.
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
And then you give me your contact, and if you... But it's an interesting question. I regret I don't have the answer. It's not I don't want to hide, it's just I never...
Understood, of course. Thank you so much.
All right. So first of all, can we just warm thanks for bringing your brilliance to the fore. Can I just ask with a raise of their hands, who's glad they came this morning as opposed to not come? Who goes away having learned something?
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's very, very good. Don't forget, more here until the 12th. 12th, I think, Ben would say, 12th of December. And don't forget, that's the one other thing, the Renault avatar.
Yes.
That's downstairs. You can see it has the Renault symbol, so you can't miss it when you go down the stairs to complete the masterclass. Thank you very much for having me. I wish you all a good end of the season and a good time at the rest of your events. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much. Thank you to you.
Thank you very much.
And to the technicians.